Hello, Sunday fun day to you. That's that is a good wish. I hope Sunday fun day. I don't know. I've heard it said in a very sort of denigrating way, like "Oh, Sunday fun day," but I think we should restore the positivity of Sunday fun day. Is what I'm thinking. I seem like an old man, don't I? I really do. Let's get some youth in here. Get somebody young and exciting. Ladies and gentlemen, our very own Commander Flobo boys.
For me, Sunday fun day was church homework and chores. So no, forget it. That's not the opposite of fun. Hey, what's going on, Captain?
Your parents were on it too.
I know. Ooh. Hey, I went to Starbase 80 last week and I missed you. What happened? I was all alone. Everything ran smoothly in your absence. It was great.
I enjoyed my time in Ithaca, New York, my old alma mater being Ithaca College. And I have to say, Ithaca College, I don't know how many other colleges have this situation, but in Ithaca, there are two colleges. There's Ithaca College, which is
good guys.
Basically, if a college was Axe body spray,
Ugh.
I'm sorry. If Axe body spray was a college, that's Ithaca College.
That's awful.
My roommate freshman year was addicted to two things: Marlboro Lights and Polo by Ralph Lauren. And the smell of the two mingled together is how I remember Ithaca College.
Oh yeah. It's funny because like I can't do Aqua di Gio because one of my buddies from college had it all the time. It's that mildew was what my college
ruined for
like.
you.
Yeah, Aqua di Gio mildew.
That staleness. I mean, that's the thing. Polo, and don't get me wrong, I actually like the smell of Polo. I've always liked it. It's now, I guess, an ancient scent. Since that was all like 40 years ago.
Yeah, like Stetson. Stetson makes it
I love Stetson. Oh man, I love Stetson. Do you remember Eddie Murphy's routine about Brute by Fabergé?
Yeah! I thought Brute was so fresh growing up. I know. I know.
My jam. That was my smell. Was Brute by Fabergé. My parents got me the soap on a rope.
Yeah,
I remember
they don't make those anymore.
No, they don't, do they?
No.
But I would have liked the shower gel too. So that's really how soap is sold now.
Thanks, Mom.
6 minutes in, and we're already talking about soap on a rope. That's some classic Starbase 80 right there.
Soon to be award-winning Starbase 80. We were going. So anyway, Cologne, am I right? Star Trek, whatever. So anyway.
Let's talk some Star Trek. I had a couple things that I wanted to talk about with this episode, and just let's make it official. This episode is from the we are reviewing from the series Enterprise. An episode that aired on April 30th, 2003. Whew, a little ways ago.
I know what I was doing then.
What were you doing in 2003?
I was trying to avoid going to my senior prom, but since I was Mr. Madison at James Madison High School, they got me a ticket. So April is like the month that kids were, if you didn't have the money, you could like sell candy or whatever. So I said I was going to do that, pretend to not sell the candy and go, whoopsie.
But now I can't anyway. Go.
Right.
But they gifted you a ticket.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, jerks. Man. So did you have to go stag?
I had a date that was, this is off topic. I had a date that lived in Far Rockaway. You know what I'm saying? And the guys didn't want to take the limousine out there, so I had to go solo, right? Oh. But the girl I wanted to go with had a college boyfriend, so it was.
Oh man, young Flobo went through some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think our viewers should know that. I think that should always be part of the context. Young Flobo has traveled some roads to get to where mature confident, handsome, modern Flobo is.
I was just fat and I had a lot of pimples, but I had the best hair. Like my hair is very soft, man. It was great. But yeah, I didn't have many girls to go with. The one girl I had a crush on didn't like me, but she had a college boyfriend, so I was like, I'm not gonna go. And then I still went.
It's funny. My best friend and I actually took off and went camping because our girlfriends had dumped us, and it was like, well, we could go and be sad, or we could go with people we don't really like, but our exes are going to be there with their new dates. So we're like, the heck with it. We went camping.
How was it? I was camping. Good.
It was terrible, actually.
Oh yeah, I bet. Yeah, I thought you were lying to me. Okay.
Well, I mean, I'm not an avid camper. I think that's when I realized, I'm just perfectly happy going to a hotel.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm the same way.
A little air conditioning, put your feet up, watch a little TV. That's a staycation right there.
That beats Keisha's ladies.
Okay, we are talking. You notice when I do these breaks, I'm always doing them for later when I edit.
Oh.
Letting you inside the
now we're talking.
the world of putting this all together. Why, look who is with us this morning. It's Keith Jacobson. Good morning, Keith Jacobson. He says, good morning, gents. Cogenitor. Cogenitor is from the second season of Enterprise. It aired on UPN, of course. There were 26 episodes in season 2. Very, that very classic TV, a 26 episode season. Very respectable. It is the 22nd episode out of those 26. They're just pretty much at this point doing the what I like to call no, they're really alien. It's one of those episodes. This episode also hammers home a lot of things for me that I think are very Enterprise. And I'll just give you a couple, and then I want to hear from you, Mr. Boyce. But first off, it is written by Rick Berman and Brannon Braga, two of the classic names of Star Trek that make me go, eh.
That's one of the best running jokes of the show. Like, oh, Braga. Are you okay, Captain? I guess.
It's a Braga.
He did contribute to like dozens of episodes, but I don't know.
Honestly, Braga is not my least favorite. My least favorite is Berman, but a lot of that has to do with the stories that come out afterwards, where you hear from the actress who played Seven of Nine, Jerry Ryan. You hear things from her about how he basically said, no, you're always in that skin tight suit. You're always going to wear that. And then he'd walk down the hall behind her like, yeah, I love to see that thing swinging. Woo! Hey, turn around a bit. I want to see a side view. There are stories is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, Rick Berman, boo. Brendan Braga, directed by LeVar Burton.
That's a yeah, I hope.
That's a yeah.
Okay.
I love LeVar Burton.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think the
it's in a book. What? Reading Rainbow, more fire.
I love your remix. Oh my God, is that Africa Bambaataa?
I love that joke.
I love it. Booyaka. Reading Rainbow. We have I think, a fairly standard kind of episode here for Enterprise, and it uses one of the themes that I dislike, which is we're humans in space and we're just hillbillies with hay in our hair and we don't got nothing, and you guys are so sophisticated.
They have to put somebody over, right?
Well, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. But it always feels so cumulative to me with Enterprise that they're just constantly the not even second class citizens. They're like the fifth class. They're steerage. they're they're the lowest level of space travelers, like Pac-Leds and humans.
Oh yeah, yeah. I guess on paper, I guess that why they tried doing that, right? It's the age of exploration. But you're right. I guess an execution has come off as like, oh, gee whiz. It's almost like when you go to a different city and things that shouldn't surprise you do. Like, oh, there's a McDonald's here in Des Moines too. Like, wow. It's like, yes, Flobo, of course.
It's so true. I was in Syracuse the beginning of this past week. And I'm just like, man, the buildings are so beautiful here in Syracuse. Well, John, what did you expect? A big smoking hole? I mean,
a couple outhouses, yeah.
And it's also funny, having been on the West Coast for so long, where old buildings don't really happen, and buildings from like the 30s, like the 1930s. You don't see them that often. You'd have to go way downtown to even find one. And just looking at downtown Syracuse, which should be a joke. Oh, you're going to downtown Syracuse? I sure am.
Nice top hat, sir.
I'm going to get in the limousine right now. Oh, Higgins.
I have dames to smooch. Yes.
But I actually took a few pictures. It was pretty nice.
Wow.
Okay, so I think that's Leo. Leo, you're coming with Starbase 80. And yes, humans in space in Enterprise are like the Irish in Titanic. Nobody asked them to be there, but they're there. They're there, damn it. And you can't stop them. The Space Irish, of course, being a great tradition of Enterprise, of Star Trek, period.
Particles.
Oh, well, you're the captain. You must be quite a wealthy man. You own this whole ship, do you? Here I am referring to another episode of a different series. Can you tell I was not a big fan of this one?
You're not a fan of Cogenitor? Because the episode's called Cogenitor. Because they'll say Cogenitor a bunch of times. Cogenitor. You not a fan?
Okay. If you would. This is not something you have to do, Flobo, but I'm asking you to do this. If you could, in one or two sentences, sum up this episode, would you please do it?
Oh, yeah. Trip kink shames and gets chewed out for it. Details at 11. That's pretty much that's all it is, really. I don't know, man. It's an odd one.
You did that so much better than I could have done that. Okay, so I'm going to do a little share screen magic here.
Ooh.
Let me find
technology, baby.
Look through my.
I'm hoping it's downtown Syracuse. I'm dying to see that.
Everybody's gonna be so mad if I don't upload my Syracuse photos. That's some good television right there. Oh, I hope we get to see your pictures of buildings from Syracuse. The bricks are red, you say? Ooh. Okay, so let me show you this, and I gotta say, I'm so in love with this. Here we go.
UPN next Wednesday. An alien race gives a whole new meaning to close encounters of the third kind.
Maybe we could sleep together.
They need three to mate.
I'm pretty familiar with how it works with two sexes, but...
Oh, well, I have pictures. A provocative all-new Enterprise. Cogenitor. UPN next Wednesday at 8, 7 Central.
That is peak UPN.
Right? Right? Is that not absolutely brilliant? Oh my goodness.
Let this soft mineral melt in your mouth.
Don't buy this.
Again.
Don't buy this. There you go. Let me close that. Yeah, you are exactly right. That is peak UPN. So the plot is pretty much they meet this very advanced race. Craig Robinson with the perfect summation. Wow.
Yeah, I can just imagine him dropping his monocle or something. Like, wait, what? Yes, UPN was a dark time in our nation, Craig. It really was.
Hey, man, you got your Sky TV. You've been there.
Yeah, what? Don't they have a channel called Dave? It's like, what am I watching? Dave.
Watching Dave, aren't I?
Watching Dave.
A little bit of Dave. The plot of Cogenitor is basically this advanced race has 3 genders, and they treat their third gender as just simply nothing more than a way of breeding. They don't allow the third gender, the Cogenitors, to have names or homes or educations or property. They are property. As a matter of fact, they're pretty much kept like pets, except they're not liked. And there's an obvious reference to Handmaid's Tale. What do you know about Handmaid's Tale, Mr. Boyce? Have you ever watched that series?
I knew nothing about it until the Hulu series dropped, but everyone tells me the real life is like a Handmaid's Tale. And so I said, you oversold it. I will never watch it because I'm in life right now.
My family, okay, so it's me and my wife and the girls, they will not watch it anymore because it's been oversold. You're so on the nose there. Just too much hype and not enough resolution to the story is how they feel. I did not dislike it. It was a lot to go through. It's a very emotional show. But very well done. Very well done. And getting back to Cogenitor on Enterprise, yeah, it is very funny that UPN is like, well, you came up with this whole thing, which is pretty much about sexual slavery. It's pretty much about the slavery of an entire 3% of their population. And the way UPN is like, it's wicked sex romp.
Yeah. They didn't say it tuned to a good episode of our Enterprise. They just said a provocative one.
Oh my God. And I love how they don't mention the I guess it's the B story at all.
When it was a show, they dropped all of the storylines in the middle of it. I was so mad. I was like, what's the point?
I mean, the C story is that the English guy,
Malcolm, what's his name?
Malcolm Reed.
Malcolm Reed.
Thank you. He's got this very meet cute with one of the gals of this race, and and I do love. I'm kind of skipping ahead.
Velo.
Yes, Velo. And how Velo can you go?
Kinky.
Hello, Velo. There's it's very cute between the two of them, and I don't know if you noticed, but they never show you the end of that storyline.
No, I'm like, what is the point? Now, I don't want to jump around. I'm not sure how you're playing.
Go ahead, jump around.
But you give us, and this is the problem I have with a lot of shows with multiple episodes, right? You give us a problem that you cannot solve in 40 minutes, and it happens. You bit off more than you could chew. It's nature of television. But you introduce this storyline to show that, hey, look, it's not all people in this race that think a certain way. There is an element that's different. There's a bit of love, there's a bit of romance, and then you ignore it. So the only story that has a resolution is the A plot, but it has the weakest resolution I have ever seen off camera. I have ever seen in an episode of Star Trek. So you present a problem that is complex with no kind of solution and just said, see you next week.
Yeah. I basically I don't think there's any way I could describe it better than that. The ending to this is very much a problem, and you know what it did? It made me feel a lot like Tuvix, a lot when I was watching Tuvix.
You dare say that name on the show?
Now, for anyone who didn't watch our Tuvix episode or hear any of our 10 million references since then, Flobo considers the Tuvix episode the most racist episode of Star Trek. Would that be
Absolutely.
fair?
Absolutely. I
And-
want to live. Sorry there, Tuvax. What?
I was going to ask you to sum it up, but you just did it beautifully. I want to live. Get in the kitchen.
Yeah,
no
get-
one's talking to you.
Get in the kitchen. Damn.
We're deciding your fate. Now go make us some food. Servant
Oh,
man. Oy. So yeah, with this one, basically, this is one of those episodes where I could just sum it up so quickly and so easily, and just please stop me if I miss anything important. People in the comments, the same challenge to you. Stop me if I'm skipping anything important. They are looking at this supergiant sun. It's very unusual. No human has ever been this close and observed this before. And they notice another ship much closer to the core of the sun, star, much closer to the core of the star in this beautiful ship. And they contact that ship. Hi, how you doing? We're just Earth. And that other race, the Vesians,
The Visians.
the Visians are like, hey, we love meeting new races. That's so cool that you guys are here. We should talk. And the captain's like, hey, come over for dinner. Very, very Enterprise, very proud of the chef whom we never meet. Although we're mostly meant to believe that it's actually Jonathan Frakes, but I don't think so. Yeah, just throwing that out there. Just trying to put a little more lipstick on the pig here. Again, I don't know about this series of Enterprise. I know for some people they absolutely love it, but I have no idea.
This episode here. So, okay, let's get the stuff out the way. I used to ignore or leave the question of like best captain of all time.
Yeah.
I know for a fact that Archer after this episode is my least favorite captain. That I thought it was Janeway, but someone in the beginning of the scene when he's out there captaining, right? Like do this and do that. I'm like, eh. And then when he chews out Trip, it's like so sanctimonious. It's like, bro, like, I guess the only voice of reason in this episode was to Paul. She's like, just do our jobs. But everyone else has their own soapboxes. So that is a net negative. But I will say this: in a time where we always try to look at content with our modern lens, I think Cogenitor has a nice enough premise. You can say, well, what about the evolution of gender in our country, or what about reproductive rights in our country, which is fine. But that is a huge jump the audience has to make to pull that from this episode, because it just seems like it's a weird, I don't want to use weird, a different thing for the sake of being different.
Yes, and look, in 2003, there were not a lot of sort of modern attitudes kind of set in stone. People who were non-binary were still, the phrase non-binary wasn't used very often at all. So, you're still going to hear like effeminate man, tomboy woman. You're still going to hear these sort of judgmental phrases and attitudes from anything from the early, sort of turn of the century, if you will. So I know they're feeling like they did something important. They're feeling like, we came up with this way of looking at gender and sex surrogacy or pregnancy surrogacy, classism, the fact that this is not a protected class. This is not an equal class in any way. The cogenitors. Yes, that's all very interesting. And seriously, who hasn't fallen in love with a lesbian? I mean, honest to God, who hasn't? Really?
I haven't.
Really?
No, am I missing out? Is that should be on my bucket list?
All of my gay female friends know that I've had a crush on them.
Okay, that's
and,
cool.
and they're always cool with it because I was cool with it, not being a jerk about it, but yeah, lots of gals I know from college and high school.
I just don't have friends, so all these things I don't know. Like when someone goes, "Oh, brother, you black, you can't play spades." I'm like, I didn't have anyone to play with. I was on myself.
uh, Leo Genesek brings up a great example. Kate McKinnon.
Ooh,
I do love my
Leo.
Kate McKinnon. I mean,
Mhm.
it's just how it works, man. People are attractive. Look, we talk quite a bit about Ortegas from Strange New Worlds.
Right,
I'm
but
telling you.
she dated men though.
She did actually. She again, not exactly binary.
Right.
She is what she is, and I love that. I love that. And that's a more modern attitude, I have to admit. I was not that open-minded in 2003. So maybe this was an important, episode to have. I certainly leave it up to people whether or not it was in your own estimation. Mr. Boyce, you had something?
Well, here's like the flip side of that, because you can't even show this episode and be like, see, they were progressive. Because one, the Cogenitor had no gender, but then Trips decides to call her she anyway.
Right.
and
Right.
and then has this white knight thing of I'm gonna teach you how to read. So like even if you take away the undertones of it, does he have some kind of romance thing going with the Cogenitor? Imagine that's not even on the table. You still treat her as lesser than because you showed her a basic thing as you would a savage or any kind of like exploratory colonial type deal. So like I don't even feel good about the progression here from Chip. This is why he's the bad guy of all things.
Right. Yeah, I mean they wanted to create a dilemma, and I guess they did a good job with that. Because I can't tell who the hero is in this
T'Pol.
story.
T'Pol's like, what are you doing? Captain, get back here. He's freaking out.
You're not
Chip,
wrong.
you had a job. She's the only voice of reason the entire episode. He's like, what are you doing?
So true. It's so true. And she's dead on. She is so good in this episode. Jolene Blaylock is so good. I'm so there's a good reason to watch this episode. T'Pol crushes it.
Mhm.
And but isn't in nearly enough of it. Yeah, so Trip meets this couple. The one guy is on the advanced ship, and we just get scene after scene of like, well, and we have this great technological advance, and us Earth folks going, golly, we never got nothing like that. And that happens 1,000 times.
Right.
And then he meets, he thinks he's meeting a third person. He meets the Cogenitor, and they're like, don't talk to it. It doesn't even have a name. Don't talk to it. And
it doesn't have a name? The husband. That was kind of weird.
husband does not have a name. That's so true. I was looking up, like, what is his name? Like, no, the engineer. That's all I can find here.
It's for real.
Eventually, as Flobo explained, eventually Trip has done things like bring her the iPad that everyone uses, the pad. It teaches her how to read. We do know this race is super fast at picking stuff up. When the two captains are talking, the other race's captain learns like all of Shakespeare in one night. They're just super fast learners, and we do find out that the Cogenitor, because Trip like gets himself invited over to their place so that he can do a brain scan of the Cogenitor. Give it to Dr. Phlox, and then they determine that the Cogenitor has the same capacity to learn, the same brain power that regular. Oh God, what's their name again? This race?
The Visians.
The Visians. Thank you. She's a Visian. She's just as capable and as intelligent as any Visian. So that's kind of and then he like shows her a movie, The Day the Earth Stood Still. Is it interesting that they keep referencing that in the Star Trek world?
Yeah, I was told The Hangover. Or it wasn't out yet. I don't know. Like I feel like when sci-fi does other sci-fi, I go, I should rather be watching that. That's a lot more fun right now. What are you doing, Trip?
and Day the Earth Stood Still is a classic. If you haven't seen it, you should probably see it. The direction that the whole thing goes is that Trip gets in trouble, and then he's scolded, and then the Cogenitor then asks for sanctuary, and Captain Archer turns the Cogenitor down and says, "No, we must not interfere with your culture, and we are not going to save you." And then, as Flobo explained earlier, and I have to admit, I cannot believe this got out of the writer's room. This just in, the Cogenitor committed suicide.
This has to be the poochiest episode I have to go now. My planet leaves me off camera, so you don't even give us the moment of her making that decision herself. And for what? Here's a character you established the entire time. Can't make a decision about her body, about her position in society, doesn't even want to read, is forced to read, and gets killed off camera by herself. Are you kidding me, man? And John, you say, we put an episode on Sunday, talk about it. I'm mad now. It's all your fault. We're Starbase 39. I'm out of here.
That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted the whole time. I mean, that's just such bad writing, though, Flobo. Am I objectively offended here or subjectively offended? Is that good writing?
Oh, absolutely not. If we're going to do something like that, it has to be a decision they have to make. So that there's a full circle thing. If she is capable, she's capable of making her own decision. But when that decision is made off camera, we don't know if it's suicide. We don't know if it's murder. We don't know if it's out of fear, out of defiance, or out of resolution if she can't go back. Like, these are things that we need to pull on from to make that character whole.
You have succeeded in actually making me sad.
Oh, sorry, man.
No, dude, you're so dead on. You are so dead on. This being the ending of the story. And oh, by the way, Malcolm Reed, who is hooking up, we don't get to see any of that story at all.
Nope.
So, like, the one part of this episode where I'm going, yes. Nope, don't get any of that. We basically get the sad fate of the unloved gender of this advanced race.
So you get that, and the comic relief storyline doesn't even have as a resolution. So there's no comic relief. It's a setup with no punchline.
And the B story, which is pretty much the story between the two captains. Not much resolution there either. They're like, well, I hope someday our races can get along. I hope we can look past these cultural differences. Oh, but are they cultural differences? That's really the question that this episode asks. Is it moral? I do like one part of the argument, which is, now, first off, this is all dumped on Trip. Trip has to do all the stupid guy stuff in this episode, which I also don't appreciate. I see what they're doing.
To be fair, Trip has always been a forgettable character for me, so it's kind of like the blank slate guy. But it's weird because he's not the main character; he's like a side character. Like,
well, yeah. Although I would say this, I actually think that he is the precursor to Burnham from Discovery, in that he is not the captain, but he's the person that a lot of stuff happens to.
Exactly, that's fair.
Because of strength of character, because of high morals, high intelligence. These are things that both Trip and Burnham have in common, and the humanity of the story is frequently being told through this character. So I'll shine that little bit of that ray of sunshine on it and say that's okay. But because Trip. Now, Connor Trenier, I have said this before. My wife and I actually know him. We were all clients at the same voiceover agency.
Ooh.
He is a super nice guy.
I bet he is.
Fun and funny and just a good listener and a good improviser, good ad-libber. Just a lot of fun. Not Southern. I mean, or if he is, he doesn't have the accent. That's a Trip thing. Trip has the accent. But I've always found it funny that his name is Trip, which to me always brings to mind like, well, I'm just stumbling around here. Whoa, what's this? An alien? Whoa, who are you? A monster? That
says he's from Washington, by the way. He's from Walla Walla.
He's from Walla Walla. Yeah, of course he is. Of course he is.
I think it was a real city. I think people just say like Sheboygan. Oh, that's real too. Holy crap. Sheboygan's a real city.
Sheboygan's a real city. When you meet a Sheboygonian, you're going to be very pleased.
That's cool.
Yeah, the thing that I find problematic with Trip is they always make him the human who just stumbles through space, even though he's a brilliant engineer and just a groundbreaking genius when it comes to making this ship work.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess can I
say that he's a Worf then of Enterprise?
Hang on. I need to absorb that.
Mm-hmm.
He is the Worf of Enterprise.
Trip, no! Trip, what are you doing? Oh no! Trip has been somebody save Trip! Trip to sick bay.
I can't find any problems with Trip is the Worf of Enterprise. I can't find any problems with that. He has a moral sense. He has a moral code. These are admirable qualities, and he's not mired in the politics. That's what the captain has to deal with. So that part of the story I think is pretty interesting, though I do feel like Enterprise really leans very heavily on Trip making mistakes. Let's see what Craig Lubin has to say. Trip's perpetual what always annoyed me.
Dang,
pretty annoying.
If Craig's annoyed, it must be really annoying.
Craig's
he deals with us every week.
Oh my God. Yeah, seriously.
You don't annoy him.
He's not a hater. He's a congratulator. So if he notices it, it means something. I did want to bring up. Now, I don't know. Do you have any history, Mr. Boyce, with Babylon 5?
I would skim through it because it would come on in the afternoons, but that's pretty much.
Yeah.
I went to school with a guy. I think this makes sense. It doesn't make sense. I apologize. I went to school with a guy that legally changed his last name to Star Fury after his favorite class of ship from Babylon 5. Is that Babylon 5?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, he was like, his last name was Phillips. We legally changed it to Star Fury.
Star Fury?
Yeah. I was like, oh, that's weird. And I was like, oh, you know what? I watched Babylon 5 one day. And that was like 15 years ago.
Damn. Yeah, I'm a John Constitution class. Good to meet you. You got to go with the best if you're going to name yourself after a spaceship. Yeah, I'm John Runabout. John Runabout. Yeah, nice to meet you, John Runabout. Yes. The other captain. Let me run to the list of names here, and he is. Come on, where is he? Oh, Andreas Katsoulis plays Drennick, the other captain.
That makes sense because in my notes I'm like, are the Vissians just Greek? But yeah, that makes total sense.
It's very much a tradition of Star Trek, whether they know it or not, that they hire Greek people to be aliens. John Colicos was one of the greatest aliens. I think Colicos was on classic Battlestar Galactica, but he was also I can't remember the name of the episode, but he was one of the great Klingons. And of course, Marina Sirtis, the Betazoid babe that we all love, Counselor Troy from The Next Generation. So Andreas Katsoulis. Now, do you remember the movie The Fugitive?
Yeah, the one-armed man.
He was the one-armed man.
Oh,
he was the one-armed man. one of my favorite things that he ever did was he played Jakar on Babylon 5. Now, I am going to share a Jakar screen here. Let me find it. Where are you? And let's see if I can get this going here. All right, there's Jakar, the leader of the Narn. The Narn, sort of the Klingons of Babylon 5.
Oh, dang.
Celebrating! We drove them away. They knew they could not enslave us forever, and we drove them off through strength.
Is that what you think? Try to understand. The strength that defeated the Centauri is not from weapons or arms.
How good is he?
Car, you are tired. You're hurt.
Shakespearean.
You're not seeing this as
Shakespearean,
we do.
absolutely. He's wearing full makeup.
I see better than you can imagine.
When you've rested, we will thank you properly, as is your right. There will be celebrations in the street, Jakar. Your name will be a blessing to any who speak it. And then, Jakar, you will lead us against our oppressors. You will be the instrument of
Come on, give me some more Kutsulas here.
With you directing us, we will finally destroy.
We couldn't cut this guy's lines
You have
down.
just tossed someone off that throne. Would you put another in his place so quickly? The Kari spoke with many equal voices, not the one voice of a single leader.
We need strength to lead us, fire to forge us. We saw that in the Centauri. Learn that from them.
Then you have learned the wrong lessons. I will not take the throne.
Snap.
If the Kari is restored, I will take my place among them, but that's all. I did not fight to remove one dictator just to become another myself.
But the Centauri
Are a lost people! They ought to be pitied. They are already on a course for self-destruction. They do not need help from us. We need to redress our wounds, help our people, rebuild our cities.
Hang on. I'll get at it. All right. I'll get it.
This reminds me of if you see Man of Steel, like and Michael Shannon as Zod going super harder than anyone else in the room.
Yes.
I will fight him. You're like, dude.
Yes. Well,
Relax.
somebody's got to be king of the mountain. Somebody's got to be the guy. Now, granted, this is where your directors come in. So I'd have to do a lot of research to figure out who directed that episode of Babylon 5. But that was one of my favorite things about Babylon 5 was they would go in on the emotional, heaviness that all of these leaders had to carry. The
Gravitas.
The gravitas. Thank you. If you're going to wear that much makeup, you do have to have other qualities to your acting. We've talked about this before. A lot of times you see it with the Cardassians a lot that the voice does most of the acting.
Right.
And so if I were to be a Cardassian, I would mostly be singing my lines so that you would be getting something through all of this makeup.
Jeremiah, is that you?
Now, keep in mind, I have auditioned 20, 25 years ago. I was auditioning for Star Trek shows and I was never getting cast. So keep that in mind.
I should audition and get it and then be like, actually, I'm actually John Weber. That'd be my goal in life. And it's like fly you into Toronto instead.
No, but then they'd be like, John Weber, he's on our list to never hire. Get out of here.
No.
He's part of the do not hire list.
I'm still hold up the Via Barzon. I really do. Me and Commander Non like this.
Let me tell you something. I would pay good money to watch that. Oh, wait, I do every month to Paramount Plus. Hey, did you notice on we should have talked about this the last time we did a classic TOS Star Trek episode, but I think they fixed the sound on Paramount Plus.
Thank goodness, because it was annoying. Because I had the volume at 200. I'm like listening to one speaker at a time. Like I think that's Shatner in the background. Like what? Can I get
Thank
fried
God.
with that? What?
Is this the only time Shatner's been quiet?
Yeah.
Okay. Look, we are at the end of this this episode. Now I have to ask, are you glad you watched it? Was it a good entry in your Star Trek education, do you think, Mr. Boyce?
I had clarity, you know what I mean? Because I always said I like to treat all of the Star Trek shows as equal, except for Prodigy. That's the only one I really had an issue with. But Enterprise is just I've been disappointed. Now I will say I've learned to appreciate Faith of the Heart, the first 2 seasons version. That remix sucked, for what it is. But like the more I see Archer actually captain, I go, this is like wish fulfillment. He's a total blank slate. It's like, oh, he's suave in this episode, and then he's like high horse in this one. Like he like flip flops. At least Janeway, and I give her flack for trying to kill her crew to get them home as quick as possible. Seem pretty consistent, but Archer just changes week in and week out, and that's annoying.
I can't argue with you on that. He does shift around a lot, and I think part of what they're trying to do is, oh, look how superhuman he is. Not superhuman, but super duper human. He's so human, and who needs that? Just like the whole premise of Enterprise being like, we're going to space, but we're basically the people in the beat up pickup truck with the camper shell on the back. we're the hillbillies of space.
Say it. Say it.
Space white trash? What?
We're homeboys and that is space. Homeboys and that. I was waiting for it, Captain.
I can't believe you looped it around. For anyone who doesn't know our history, I was in the pilot for Homeboys in Outer Space. They actually
And the best episode. The best episode. It was all downhill after that. I'm telling you.
I had some pay or play there, which was nice too. That even though they replaced me with James Doohan, yeah, I did get a check for that. So that was nice. Anything left you have in your notes about the episode of Enterprise known as Cogenitor, Mr. Boyce?
Sure, but first I go through my tabs. It's because I'm just going through so many.
Oh yeah,
I have the history of the one-armed man. I have the names of the Vissians, and it was kind of where the engineer doesn't have one. I go, hey, they still make Original Brute by Fabergé, which is the division of Unilever now.
What
things to do in Syracuse? That's going to come in handy. And visit Sheboygan, an actual real city. I learned this today. Visit Sheboygan. I just thought it was a fake town, like Walla Walla, Washington. That's cool.
Like Walla Walla, which is a real town,
like downtown Syracuse. Yeah. So I had these aliens look like Greek people, which kind of makes sense. And I was like, wow, these people came on my ship and make fun of my food. You should kick them off that ship real quick because we have no other options out here in space. Omicron radiation, huh? Timely. That was pretty good. Yeah.
Totally right over my head. Right over.
Malcolm Reed is shooting a shot in the armory, but how does sex for pleasure work with a trigender situation? Do you have to get a cogenitor just to bang or just to have kids? Or
my understanding is the cogenitor's there for the pregnancy and that's it.
Okay. That's okay. So what is a guy? Okay, whatever.
Right, but the UPN promo would make you think, well, you have to have a threesome. It's the law.
UPN.
UPN.
Talking about this cogenitor killing themselves, total cop out because what's the true consequence? They are just mad. There's going to be another host later. Nothing gets solved. But it's space. It's Chinatown. Forget it, Jake. And, Archer gets mad, but he too calls the cogenitor a she. So is he respectful of the culture? Probably not. And lastly, why is T'Pol the voice of reason on this ship? Why?
Because T'Pol is the one person on the ship as a Vulcan who has been around space and seen this and seen like, yeah, you can't get into other people's like sexual situations. You know, other cultures, versions of gender, you can't mess with that. Like she just knows. And Vulcans are super smart that way. And I don't think I mentioned this, but there is that great moment where Trip's like, well, I'm just trying to think about human rights here. And T'Pol's like, she's not human.
You idiot. Stupid.
She didn't say it that way, but that's the way you say it. Yes, it's exactly what you're thinking. Human rights. You are not dealing with humans, so back off. And yet, was that the right thing to do? What was the right thing to do here, Flobo?
Go, oh, that's weird, and walk away. General order, prime directive, whatever you want to call it. Leave it the hell alone, baby.
And to me, that is an early on decision, which is, again, as you said, it's Chinatown, Jake. There's nothing you can do about it. Why is there more to this episode?
If there's an episode where Charles or the Cogenitor was in distress, then there is a conflict because they really want to do it. But they or them were dragged through everything. Yeah. You shouldn't be here. Don't teach me how to read. I want asylum. Sorry. They just totally destroy a dynamic and ruin the kind of diplomacy for what? For UPN? Yeah. They don't care about you and UPN. They cancel Sparks, damn it. That still ticks me off.
This is the final thing I have in my notes, which is the Star Trek ending. The Star Trek ending as applied to Cogenitor would be someone comes up with a very clever solution. That doesn't happen. Or the captain makes the big speech, very Star Trek, and changes people's minds. We actually saw that in the pilot for Strange New Worlds. It's a beautiful, time-honored tradition. Doesn't happen, doesn't work. However, what does work for this episode of Enterprise is everyone just crawls away defeated.
I have never seen anyone appeal for asylum and didn't get it without just a specific Starfleet reason. Like, quote me a BS chapter clause. It was like, nah, asylum. That's crazy.
Asylum? Why are we even talking about that? Don't even.
You can read. You can figure it out. It's like, what? Come on.
You can read now. Read my lips. No asylum.
Asylum. It's been a long.
Craig Lubin is not wrong. They are responsible for the Cogenitor's death, but and then Keith Jacobson jumps in with, Washington State has some great town names. My favorite, Hump Tulips, Washington.
My mind is blown here. Grays Harbor County. This is all like a fake state. This is all made up.
It's not a fake state. It's just it was done more recently, so it has some cool stuff in it. Oh, folks, we have made 55 minutes worth of show out of 20 minutes worth of show, and that's what makes Starbase 80 so great. Honestly, I think.
Yeah. I really have a better ending than this episode. Did Malcolm get laid or not? I need to know.
I know. Okay, here's the thing. Now we have to go with what Leo Genesek and Chris Pitcher and Craig Lubin have taught me about. It's called head canon. What do you believe? So in your head, did Malcolm Reed hook up with that crazy, sexy alien lady?
I don't think they hooked up. I think she just totally dominated him. He was like, duh. Like, he was all smooth and she was like, I like you, let's bang. He's like, me? So I think she got laid.
You know what I loved about that whole thing? I mean, A, she's beautiful. But B, she's taller than he is. And he was like, yeah, I don't care. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
He's giving off that Dudley Moore, Susan Anton energy.
Death by Snoo Snoo.
Death by Even better. Folks, when you've got Flobo Boys bringing up Death by Snoo Snoo, you're not going to top that. Mr.
Oh, my God. Susan Anton's hot. Yo, call me a Flobo Boys on social media. I got things to do. I have research after this.
Flobo Boys on social media at Flobo Boys. Also, look them up on Patreon. We want to see you here next week, 11 a.m., 2 p.m. on the East Coast, 11 a.m. on the West Coast, and more Starbase 80 for you in the near future. Mr. Boys, would you please say the word?
Live long and prosper, man.
You beautiful, beautiful nerd.